Welcome back to the Love of Down My Nose Itches. Welcome back to the Love of Pages. This is part 3.
The finale.
The finale of the Forever War. When the Forever War ends.
Not so forever, it turns out.
Not so forever. I keep forgetting to do this, but I'm Elizabeth, and I'm joined with Jessica.
And I'm Steven.
And Steven. I was hoping Jessica to say something in audio, so it's not.
And Steven.
My book's over there. It's so far.
Well, why is it so far away, Steven?
It's by my bed.
You should go get it.
What? Okay, I'll go get it.
Go get it.
Vamp for me.
See
Vamp
you
for you.
soon.
Vamp for you.
Have fun.
I'm looking for the page where we discuss.
Have fun storming the castle. That doesn't make any sense. Why did I say that?
I'm trying to find what is the drink. What is the drink?
I don't know.
I'm trying to find the page with the drink.
I had no idea if there was
What
a
are we
green.
drinking tonight?
We are drinking a Midori cocktail. There we go. That's the word. Midori martini. Oh my god.
Midori martini.
We're drinking a Midori martini. I had a really long day, so I'm not going to make a lot of sense on this podcast.
That's
but
okay.
That's okay. So it's Midori with some vodka, some lemon juice, and 1 maraschino cherry. Yay.
I
And
like
this
it.
is inspired by a rum Antares, which was in the drink that was being consumed by the Colonel.
Mandela's only friend.
Oh, that's sour.
Yes.
That's what it's called, Jess.
I know, but that smacked my face.
Is there a Midori sweet?
It is, but I think I just kind of made it real quick, and I just threw in half a lemon.
Oh.
Well, not half a lemon, because it called for an ounce, and I was like, that's half a lemon.
No, it's not.
Not measuring.
That's
That's what I had. And just kind of squeeze it right in, and there we go. Mine's high on the limit, apparently. I like lemon. It is delicious. It just was not what I was expecting, because Midori is very sweet.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was one of the first liqueurs I had tried.
Yeah.
And it's a ridiculously sweet green melon liqueur. It's delicious.
Okay.
With a maraschino cherry.
All good
Yeah,
decisions.
that sip was a lot better. I think just all the lemon was on top.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we are in the last stages of the Forever War.
Mhm.
So at the end of section 2, Mandela, which I've been pronouncing it Mandela, but I'm pretty sure it's Mandela after we get to an explanation about his
So-
name.
They say it as Mandela throughout the audiobook, but it sounds like an audiobook that was recorded quite some time ago, so they might just not have cared. But that's how they chose to say it throughout.
Okay.
But in any case, Mandela and Mary Gay re-upped. They were told to get stationed. They were going to get stationed on the moon in the Luna colony. And then an hour into arriving, they got new orders to go back out to the front.
We're gonna go fight.
So they go out. They are both enlisted as lieutenants.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lieutenant Mandela section, very short.
Yes.
He is not a lieutenant for long. So they go into battle, and I can't even figure out. So the year has become
2150 something. Yeah.
In any case, they go into battle. They are on they're leading 2 different strike forces, is what they're calling them. And they both lose a limb. Mandela loses a leg, and Mary Gay loses an arm. And in the year that it took them to go from getting home to getting re-enlisted to going out to this next battle, so year of their actual time, there was enough time lapsed for Earth to establish a colony on a planet that they call Heaven. And not just a colony, but like several large cities and a whole new way to grow artificial limbs that includes regrowing nerves and flesh.
I want some of that.
Right?
I feel like that's being tested on right now, being able to regrow stuff from like stem cells and stuff. So I didn't think that was crazy. I was like, yeah, I could definitely see regrowing limbs within the next thousands of years for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So they then get 6 months of reprieve on Heaven, and they go exploring and they spend lots of time together, and they figure, it's now a 10-year term limit. The Army just keeps upping it on them on how many years they have to stay in before they can retire. But they figure, we'll die at some point in those 10 years.
So they just spend money like crazy, enjoying themselves.
They spend money like crazy, enjoying time. And then it turns out that the only thing they didn't think was possible occurred. They get split up.
Yep.
To different missions. Mary Gay gets promoted to a captain, and Mandela gets promoted to major, based on some tests that they give them in Heaven.
Yep.
So that's the Lieutenant Mandela section. Anybody got any? It was packed, but it was only 18 pages.
Yeah, it was
packed with stuff.
It was just a bridge.
Fishing for a shark.
Yeah, no. What
lady
was that
lost
thing?
her limbs.
They talked about that shark like it was just like I don't even know how to describe that thing.
Want to know how crazy the future is? Megalodons. Megalodons are back. Like that.
But that's not
they just live on another planet.
Alien future megalodons are back.
That's true.
Yeah.
Also a little concerned that, he describes it as, Heaven looks the way Earth would if mankind hadn't, destroyed it. And I'm like, but then he goes on to describe all the cities, and I'm like, but they are destroying it.
Yeah. I think
they have force shields where they don't allow predators and the rest of bug life to come in.
Yeah, I think it's more like at least it went around the nature of the place as opposed to just obliterating the nature. That's what I was picturing. But that could be my thing because I had a planet in my sci-fi that they would grow their buildings around the nature and ensure that if they had to take down any trees, then that building had to replace a tree somewhere, it was a super sustainable planet. So yeah, it had tall buildings, and that was it. Also growing tall instead of growing out is a big thing too. And being you can be sustainable and still live humanly. You don't have to live in a tent kind of thing. It's just all in how you work. That's what I was picturing.
No, I agree with this one. I think as opposed to them just uprooting everything and then getting maybe 30% of the use out of the natural resources, I feel like they would have developed the ways, the means to be able to get the most out of a thing. So they didn't just have to tear everything up to build something small.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I got the impression that they just kind of camouflaged it to look like they weren't actually being super sustainable. But
I'll take that one too. Either one of those seems likely.
That may be me being pessimistic about mankind.
I mean, I don't think you're wrong though, because the one thing that they do say about this is that essentially everything there is super expensive, and it's just a device for them to get all of the money that is now accruing in all of these soldiers' back pay and everything back into the economies. So
yeah,
that makes sense to me.
Quite honestly, what it is it's a company town. That's really what it is. It's just
exactly
a company town expanded into a planet concept.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it was. I mean, it wasn't shocking at all. I'm like, that's exactly what I would expect it to be: super luxurious, super high cost,
Mhm.
burn through your money quickly, which is very common of the old company towns where there was one employer in town that sustained an entire city.
Those are the worst. The stories of those places. Oh boy.
So, but okay. Any other thoughts on Lieutenant Mandela?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're into Major Mandela. And by this time, so those 18 pages, we jumped from 2024 to 2458 in 18 pages.
Time.
So Mandela goes for officer training. And apparently officer training is to basically put you under for 3 weeks and pump your brain full of information and kinesthetic practice of all military weapons from the dawn of the human race.
I imagine it being like
right.
when Luke is healing inside of that tube, plus like the thing jacked into the back of your brain from the Matrix.
Yeah. Yes, that's what I was picturing.
I was thinking the Matrix version, yes. Very much so. Very much so. So 3 weeks time, he becomes major. He's now got, thousands and thousands and thousands of years worth of military tactics and history and knowledge crammed into his brain.
He's literally like, why do y'all make me a leader? I don't get it.
Yeah.
But distinctively, and I did appreciate this conversation, they did not give him any information about what Earth looks like now, like society outside the military. Things that might be necessary to relate to the troops that you're commanding. But that's fine.
You don't need that stuff.
Isn't that though like going to school to be a lawyer though? Like you learn everything about the law, but you don't actually learn how to practice it.
It's valid, and it's one of my big complaints. It's one of my not a lot of professional schools that way. But yes. So instead he gets a single conversation in a bar with the colonel.
The person who would become his only friend that he had that drink with.
No, Jack Canuck, a different colonel.
What?
Yeah.
Listening to the audiobook, I 100% glossed over that. I was like, that's the same person.
No, different person. Colonel Canuck is just there to give him information regarding changes in society, basically give him his psychiatric debriefing.
Yeah.
Is what they called it. And the big thing that he wanted to get across to Mandela was that all of your troops are homosexual now.
Yeah.
It is now considered a curable deviation to be heterosexual.
This one is the one that when we started getting into this stuff, I was like, I remember this now.
I could have done without all of this stuff.
Because it's like at the time, this would have been very like forward, like, but what if it was the opposite? And everyone would have been like, oh, thought provoking. We're way far past this idea as like mental exercises. Yeah. So it's again, this is like, this is akin to that situation earlier on in everything where he went to call his mom or someone else on the video phone and had to go to an operator first. Like, we are so far beyond this, it doesn't make sense to have this conversation with anybody.
No, it doesn't. And then I think the other thing that threw me off, which I don't think it was in this initial first conversation about it, I think it was in a later on one with like a Dr. Diana, whatever her name was, where she's like, oh yeah, they've got eugenics to pick out things. And as soon as they said eugenics, I was done. I was like, nope.
Yep. That's
We're
a bad word.
Eugenics alive. That's a bad word. Like, oh no. Like, I would have... If I didn't have to finish this book, I might have stopped there.
Everybody associates eugenics, rightfully so, with World War II, with Nazi Germany. But to be quite honest, has been a concept for most of mankind's existence as societies. And it's still around today, and it's going to still be around in the future, because even today people can test and pick for color of eyes, color of hair. You know, there's all sorts of things that we already do in this.
Although it should be noted that eugenics in America was used just to keep Black people down, basically. It was intentionally skewed to ensure that white people seemed so much better than Black people. And it's the worst thing. And the last paper came out in like the 1990s about that. Yeah. Not even that long ago.
It was like 86 or something, where they like did things to people actively. But that's neither here nor there. The crazy one to me in all of this is that even the bare minimum concept that they say in there, where they're like, oh yeah, no, we can change your polarity for like your sexuality or your gender. We can swap between the two. And I'm just like, oh, you guys,
so cute.
Oh, just so cute. Two, you say.
But in any case, the other big piece is that there was UNEF, the war conglomerate,
the government,
basically become the entire government. There was a rebellion of veterans that had been back on Earth. The rebellion got squashed. We're still in war. Everybody is now homosexual on Earth, and if people need replacing, they do it through basically what he refers to as test tube babies.
The quickening.
I say this because it becomes relevant later on in the storyline. But cloning is illegal. Cloning humans is illegal. They are very specific about cloning humans being illegal. So the population of Earth is floating at just under 1 billion. Which is very minimal, actually.
Yeah.
I'm like, how did we...
That sounds great.
Yeah. So much space for everybody.
I know, right? Like, God.
So, in any case, he then gets introduced to his whole squadron, all of his strike force, and they are sent to Stat 138 is the determination.
Was it SATA?
SATA? Maybe? All I remember is 138.
Okay. Yeah, because they said they stopped naming... They hit so many places of these, they started naming them after the... What was the alphabet that it was?
First, the Hebrew alphabet.
Yeah.
And then they had to switch from the Hebrew alphabet to the Greek, I think. But...
Basically, go out in the podunk of nowhere and make a base.
Yeah. Like they had to do back when he started.
Yep. Exactly. And he is one of the... And basically, he determines that the only reason he got promoted to major was because it would look bad to have somebody who was in part of the original being as low ranking as lieutenant. Although he talks multiple times about just switching with his lieutenant. He's like, here, you take major, I'll take lieutenant, and we can go back to doing things the way they should be done. The rest of his team that become critical is Captain Moore, who becomes the friend, Captain Moore, and Commodore Antipool, who is the head of the ship. So she's the only person above Mandela on board because it's her ship. He's in charge of his people. She's in charge of her people and the ship.
It has a very cool name.
Yes. And then Dr. Diana... I did not get her last name.
Prince.
No.
Diana.
Dr. Diana. It's okay.
Say it at the very end. Diana.
We'll treat her with like kid doctor rules.
Alciver.
Okay.
Dr. Alciver.
Oh.
And he basically kind of establishes that among the officer group, when it's just the officers, the chain of command can be relaxed a bit. Except for the lieutenant, who is very hardcore and is unwilling to relax about any of this. So they start going out. We get the bumps and, fits and starts of a 10-month trip out to the new planet, the new collapsar that they're going to create a base off of. And along comes a cat that the mechanics crew has adopted. And they've outfitted to be able to get in the tanks with everybody, and it's got its own little suit. And Mandela hates cats, hates that there's a cat on board, but realizes that he doesn't really have an option. Like, it would be terrible for morale to shoot the cat.
Yeah.
Which he contemplates on multiple occasions. And then the other one is one of the cooks sets up a still and creates a black market liquor exchange.
All inevitable.
Mandela is like, that's fine, because you've established it such that nobody can really get too drunk. So I'll just require that for you to do stuff outside or to do training, you have to be completely sober. Like, if you're not completely sober, you don't get to do your required training, and you get dinged for that. So be sober when you show up for duty. Otherwise, I don't care. Dr. Diana gets plastered on the stuff. And Mandela has to think of a way to... Because she basically offers herself up to him.
Yeah, she's like, I could be straight for 5 minutes, Mandela. It's a very awkward part of the book.
It's a very awkward.
Very
part of the book.
It was definitely, I was like, okay. Oh. But he ends up being forced to make the right decision, because he's not going to make the right decision, and then she just passed out.
Yeah.
So
but then, yeah. I would also like to note he does make a joke that like, haha, I got a secret heterosexual. Just got to get some scotch. Like, dude,
yeah.
No, thank you. No, thank you. Please stop.
So they get to the planet, and they go down to build. And he has them build his first ding. Again, the troops dislike him because he makes them build the defenses before building the living quarters.
Which is, like, I feel like as a soldier, I would understand. I'd be like, yeah, no, you have to build your defenses before you build your home. Like, you can't just build a home without defense.
So,
like, that makes sense.
Yeah. So they spend several months building and building and building. And they get everything put together, and then he runs into an insubordination issue.
It's a nice way of putting all of that.
He went a little cuckoo.
Clearly the psych evals did not catch him, but he attacks one of the other troop members for a while, so finally Mandela convinces the Commodore to basically take him and isolate him with the permission to basically shoot him out into space if he screws up there. And as he's getting ready to tell all the troops this and make it official, the guy comes at him and tries to assassinate him.
As one does.
Yeah.
Fails. And Mandela takes him out, but doesn't kill him.
Which really would have been the better option.
Right? That would have been, like, if he had killed him in combat, like, the troops would have been like, no, you were fighting for your life. It's fine.
Huh.
So, the soldier did not die at the assassination attempt. So they go back to the medical bays, and Mandela is being treated, and the doctor goes to, quote-unquote, check on the soldier. And she comes back in. He's, quote-unquote, attempted suicide. And Mandela quickly figures out that is not what
happened.
Yeah.
No.
And that the doctor has dealt with the problem herself. The This sets all of the troops on edge because they now think that Mandela directed her to do that. And Mandela's a little pissed, reasonably so in my perception. Like, no, he was right in his statement. Like, he is the commanding officer, needed to be the one to pull the trigger, make the decision, give the orders, make it very clear as to what was occurring, why it was occurring, so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. Like, doing it under a guise of suicide, just...
That's shady.
It's shady, and it's not good for troop morale.
Yeah.
No.
That's like if you have a problem in a peacetime kind of thing where no one's above anybody else, but there's an issue. But if there's one person like him, that he's the last person that you should have protected with that kind of thing in the situation.
Yeah. Exactly. Mm-hmm. But in any case, that occurs, and then pretty close thereafter, the Taurons attack. And as Mandela has discussed throughout the whole book, they never know when they get ready to engage whether they will be meeting Taurons from their future or their past. And so they don't know where they're going to be in terms of skill level, scientific advancements, weaponry, tactical knowledge, any of that stuff. So they come in, and it turns out they're pretty sophisticated. Mandela and the captain and the lieutenant are spending a lot of time watching on what I picture as little radar screens, dots in the sky, as the Commodore and her fighters and her drones fight off the Taurons. Eventually, the Commodore ship gets blown up, and one fighter flees, and the Taurons land. They send in huge amounts of troops. And the first several waves, the defense systems, the defense lasers, take care as they're supposed to. But what the Taurons have done is basically, upon the impact and explosion, made the atmosphere so hot that the lasers can't actually function. The defense systems can't actually function. Mm-hmm. So just about as all the defenses are down and the first wave of troops is coming, Mandela makes an offer, tells anybody who wants to, other than those he's already ordered, to get into a safety shelter above ground, because all of the living quarters are below ground. Mm-hmm. And 11 people take him up on that, mostly part of Lieutenant Brill's division, squad, whatever. Strike Force, that's what we said, Strike Force. Anyway, they go out to the safety point, and when the troops start to attack, he then orders them out onto the field. Mm. And as he's sitting there, he decides he hates that he's just sitting here and not in the fray of it, so he's going to go out front. And the captain goes, "You clearly haven't been listening." To Mike line, they think you all are sending them out there for punishment. They're going to kill you. Like, if you go out there, our troops will kill you. Don't do that. That's dumb. Like, wait till the end.
Yeah.
So it turns out that the fighter plane was not actually fleeing. He was using the nearby collapsar to basically slingshot himself and his two drones. And he comes back, and one drone hits and blows up one of the big Tauron ships. Big success. Yep. The other drone hits the planet. And in a slight lull, just after that moment, Mandela realizes that it's going to cause an earthquake. His physics brain kicks in and goes, "Ugh."
Get out! Time to run.
Everybody topside. And he just says earthquake, and everybody topside. And so he flees up, and just about the time that they reach the surface, the earthquake hits. And after ordering a retreat into the safety zone, Mandela realizes that most of his company ignored his order to go topside and is now under the collapsed rubble of the planet in a sinkhole several miles deep.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously dead.
Yeah.
So, they are now stuck inside this safety dome that basically it's a stasis. They call it a stasis dome.
Mm-hmm.
And it basically slows everything down so you can only use hand-to-hand combat weapons inside because bullets don't actually go with any force.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have all these weapons, and there are about 24 of them. Right? 24, 29.
That sounds right.
Yeah, that
Small
sounds
numbers.
Right.
There's a small number of them. And they realize, because they're basically, the Taurons are going to circle outside, and they've heated it up so much that they're basically just waiting outside for them to finally mentally break.
Yeah, and then it's just, they have weapons fire just loaded into that shield thing. So, correct me if I'm wrong, whenever the thing just collapses, it'll just... all of those previous energy bursts and stuff.
Yeah. Well, and so darts get thrown in and they kill several people. And so Mandela discovers, he basically establishes a tapping mechanism so that if you start seeing them, you have to tap the person to your right so that the person behind you gets notice that the darts are coming in to potentially kill them. There is then a wave of the Taurons that actually come in to try and kill them in hand-to-hand combat. They manage to kill them in 3-to-1 odds or 6-to-1 odds, some ridiculous amount.
Not good.
Yep.
So they lose a few people, but not many, but they know that they can't really survive another attack. So Mandela works out this idea. He has Nova bombs that are in there, and he basically has them placed around the edge of the field and just kind of kicked out slightly, and then it blown up all at the same time, and basically creating a massive sinkhole and blowing up the rest of the area around them, killing all the Taurons that were on the planet. So he knows. So then he and the other physicist do the math and determine that they need to stay in the stasis dome for 6 days to allow the atmosphere to clear and come back to a temperature that their suits can sustain. They wait 6 days in the dome, and then they take the stasis dome down. They have one little fighter craft that can hold 9 people. There are 11 of them. So they're waiting for the fighter who got slingshotted and is going to have to come back and take 6 weeks to get to them. And once he gets back, they kind of all shuffle around and load onto the 2 ships to start collapse star jumping back to Stargate. By the time they get to Stargate, the year is 3143.
It's been a little bit.
It's been a little bit. And they land at Stargate to a huge amount of aircraft and no defenses down, and to be greeted by man.
And there's Tauran vehicles in the atmosphere even.
Yeah,
just
there's
chilling.
2 Tauran vehicles.
Just chilling. And they are greeted by man. They are apparently the last group of troops expected to potentially make it back.
Mm-hmm.
All 12 of them.
Yep.
And in the time that they were gone and jumping back, Earth's population had obviously progressed again. They were now all being cloned. And they were no longer homosexual, heterosexual. They were all just beings.
Mm-hmm.
And those with Mandela include both Captain Moore and Dr. Diana, and a few other people. I think the lieutenant made it. So there are now several colony planets for Earth. Some include old school heterosexuals. Some include, or the rest of them are clones and homosexual mixes.
Mm-hmm.
These are the terms that the book is using. I don't.
No, it's they have
qualifying remarks on any of this. This is just the way the book is describing it. So the clones basically tell them the war's over. Here are your personnel files. You have sufficient back pay to live the rest of your lives. There's not a problem.
They don't have any pay. They have no money.
Money doesn't exist anymore.
But you can live. It's fine. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out for you. You just tell us where you want to go and we'll take you there. And again, with we can reprogram you to different sexual orientations or genders, no problem. Take your pick. Mandela gets his file. Captain Moore sits down with him and goes, yeah, I'm going to stick it out with you because I don't know if you've tried to have sex with the clones, but not a fan.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
Not a fan. And Dr. Ariana comes to the same conclusion. Mandela opens his file and discovers a note from Mary Gay. This is the part that I was like, this is such a cheesy and like not real. Like, there's no way. Like, the probabilities are so small. Like, it's absurd.
Yep.
It's absurd. But Mary Gay says, I wanted to make sure you got this. I survived. I'm going to a planet called Middlefinger.
Yes.
I'm going to a planet called Middlefinger, and I'm going to be in basically a time machine spaceship that'll basically just jump back and forth.
I think they even said time ship at one point in the letter. Like, they said, we bought a time ship.
We bought a time ship.
Wait, what?
Basically, by the time you get here, assuming you're on schedule, I will only be a couple of years older than you. So, like, get your butt out here.
Mm-hmm.
Homeboy.
No, I got this. And so he brings Dr. Ariana and Captain Moore along with him. And the closing note is that Mary Gay has given birth to a child as in the
normal way
parent alive. And the doctor doing the delivery is Dr. Ariana Moore.
Surprise!
Yeah.
She was a hetero. They were both heterosexual the whole time.
Yeah.
That annoyed the crap out of me.
Yeah.
Like, oh, did you have to do that?
Yeah.
So and that's how the book concludes. This third section was definitely the hardest to read.
I didn't. Like, the way that we've talked about science things in the past and everything and just kind of like glossing over it, that was that entire battle with the Taurans for me. I'm okay, now it's somebody won, somebody didn't.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, they're in a hole now. I did have to reread when they were doing the stasis bubble stuff because I was like, wait, what happened? Like, why are they in a hole? Why do they have to wait a week? But that was about it. I think you also glossed over the fact that you found out that the Taurans themselves are clones, and that's why
man
the war ended because man understood them.
Yeah, because the clones are able to like brain talk to clones cleanly without any kind of issue.
Basically.
One of the things for this ending that was so odd was obviously just how fast it comes together. Like it comes together so very quickly, and pretty much everything is wrapped up in this neat little package where like now humans and them get along. And the first question the Taurans asked when they met humans and were able to communicate was like, why'd you start this? And then the humans were like, what? No, you started this.
No, you. Oh, and then the humans also go, but we did need money. We needed an economy at the time, so war.
Yeah, no, there are a lot of like small statements across this entire book that I think are more interesting than the greater events of the actual book.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. It was. But that was the Forever War. And it took forever.
Now that we're at we're on the other end of this whole book, What was the best part for you? And would you in any way, shape, or form recommend this to anybody?
The best part to me was probably that scene at the end of the second section where they're supposed to be going to Luna and then they get up somewhere else. That was probably the best part to me because that was like, yes, that is reality.
What would happen.
That's
yes.
exactly how that occurs. You got it. Point. Check.
Yeah, that's probably the same for me too. For the best part is that because it's like, yep, that's how it be, and it's kind of sort of repeated when they're like getting different orders to different places, and it's like, yep, that's how it be. Unless you're married in the military, they don't try to keep you together just because you're dating.
Mm-hmm. And even when you're married, it's not always guaranteed.
This is true.
Not always. So they do really try, but sometimes they can't do it depending on your jobs and stuff. So,
and I would possibly recommend it to military theory historians. So somebody who's into military theory, not necessarily, or military tactics. Somebody who's interested in military tactics, military theory. I might recommend it to them because I do think it's an interesting perspective from the soldier level of how wars look. Because a lot of times when you get novels regarding military theory, military history, it's from the general's level. It's from the bird's eye view about the overall how the battle, how the battlescapes look, and this is much more how does it feel.
Also, the climbing through the rank thing is very cool to see too. Yeah, because that's not something you would typically get from one soldier necessary. I mean, it's a very extreme and quick climbing through the rank that is very interesting.
And it's much more accurate because the rank jumping isn't necessarily because he's exceptionally good. It's strictly because he's survived and been around the longest.
Yeah.
Like surviving and being there gets you promoted a lot. And it's required for a lot of promotion. Like just putting in the time is often required for promotion.
Yep. I feel like John from the Geeks Watch would read this.
Absolutely.
That's actually the first I thought was like John would probably read this one. Yeah.
This one, I don't think I would have been a person who would have in any way, shape, or form enjoyed this book if I weren't a person who also read all of the books that my mom had read when she was younger for science fiction. So I like something that's seen as like distasteful socially or anything like that isn't an automatic write-off for me. Because I've certainly seen so much worse and still gotten an interesting kernel out of a book before. Also, I was borrowing a friend's copy for this book the first time I read it. So low bar for entry there.
Yeah. No, and I agree. It is definitely one of those, like we discussed with the Time Machine when we started that one. It hasn't necessarily aged well. A lot of the science and the societal concepts don't hold up. They aren't.
Like,
what he describes as 2007 is not the way I remember 2007.
There was a lot more Fall Out Boy.
And a lot less space exploration in general.
Yeah.
I don't think without the context of this being written by the person it was with the history, like the personal history that he had, I don't think this book would be any kind of interesting for me. Even with the middle section that I do enjoy reading, it would be broken.
Yeah.
I agree.
So what do we have next? What's up next after this for the people who are preparing?
That's Jessica. That's you.
I know, right? Guess I totally forgot till about 5 minutes before we filmed this podcast, and so I just went over to my bookshelf and grabbed something that I hope is going to be a little bit more lighthearted that I hadn't read yet, and it's called The Everything Box by Richard Kadri or Kadri. I'm not for sure how to spell.
So what drew you to this book?
So this book is I'm not even for sure exactly what it is. I didn't even read the back of it. I just vaguely remember that it's funny.
That's good. That's a change.
I think it's like one of those like fantasy. That's why I grabbed it, because it's like I need a funny book, and I was like between this one and like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. But I thought,
that's a dense read.
It's a very dense read.
Mm-hmm.
Although I think we all have read it, actually.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, I bet you Elizabeth and Stephen have read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So, but this one, I don't know. I guess I'll just read the back synopsis if you don't mind that, because I really cannot remember why I ever picked it up. But okay. So, 2000 BC, a beautiful, ambitious angel stands on a mountaintop smiling, because soon the last of humanity who survived the Great Flood will meet its end too. And he should know he's going to play a big part in it. But when he reaches for the instrument of humanity's doom, he can't find it. Looking over the earth at all that could have been, the majestic angel utters a single word. Crap! To 2015 AD, Coop, a thief specializing in purloining magical objects, steals and delivers a small box to a mysterious client who engaged his services. Coop doesn't know that his latest job could be the end of him and the rest of the world, and will propel him into the company of the Department of Peculiar Science, a fearsome enforcement agency that polices the odd and strange. The box isn't just a supernatural heirloom with quaint powers, the peculiar agents tell him. It's a doomsday itself, or a bomb, or something. They're not really sure. And suddenly, everyone is out to get it. So,
Okay.
I was feeling good omens off that first part.
Yeah.
I know, and that's why I was like, I feel like this will be good. Hopefully a cheerful something. I need something after the Forever War.
I'm so sad. Like I have things selected for my next pick already, but it takes so long to come back around to the next time that you get to pick again. It's like, okay, well, I look forward to that like 9 months from now.
Yep.
Yes. I was like also thinking of doing like a Christmas book or something, but we're actually going to end up taking a little break for Christmas. So the podcast will be starting again come January sometime. So
for us recording, for the people out there, they won't even know.
No, I feel like there should be a few weeks breaks around Christmas.
Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. We were taking time off of posting, not time off the. I remember.
Yes,
I had it flipped.
We're not going to be posting
after we need to cut this part because you just posted this week Moonraker, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Moonraker movie.
Mm-hmm.
So this actually shouldn't come out till the start of January.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Oh, this isn't coming out. Oh, Forever War isn't going to come out till.
It's okay. Honestly, I'm alright with leaving this part in for the ease of use for myself. Everyone just got to see a little peek inside of how they make the sausage.
By the way, don't like start recording way too far ahead. That like it hurts my brain sometimes. I'm like, which episode's up? When is this?
It's
and then
like
we take those breaks.
It's like the time dilation in the book. That's how we record. Like it's 31:40 or whatever right now.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Unless of course Steven wants to just edit all 3 of these this week and Mitch can post them.
Nope. Turns out Steven doesn't want to do that at all.
Alrighty then.
Like how I delegate opportunity to do work to other people.
What? This will be coming out end of January. So.
Yes.
Hopefully you all had a fantastic New Year.
I know.
Yeah. Hopefully you did. All right. On that note, Jessica, where can people find you at?
You can find me on Twitter as JM Bailey Writes. Please tweet me to help me keep track of time and what's going on in my life.
I'll give you a bad time about not being willing to edit 3 podcasts in a week.
So you can find me on Twitter at Peppermint Gent, short for Peppermint Gentleman, which is the name you can find me as across all other social media.
Fantastic. And you can find me with the rest of Geek Elite Media at Geek Elite Media, our Facebook page /Geek Elite Media. Please join us on our Patreon page if you've got time, particularly in this giving season. I know it's hard for everybody. particularly just post-Christmas. But if you've got a couple dollars and can support us, it would be greatly appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
Please rate, review, and subscribe to us on your favorite podcatcher. It helps us gain more viewers and listeners, which we really enjoy and appreciate. Hopefully we can share the love of reading again to more people. But until next time, this is the Love of Pages reminding you to keep turning pages and always remember to
Geek out.
Out.